The descent of the queens. The night sky above New York split apart like shattered glass. One moment, the stars glimmered in calm silence. The next, the heavens boiled with fire as 4 colossal alien vessels tore through the atmosphere. Their hulls glistened with eerie light blades of living metal, shadows made solid, writhing tentacles of energy. The air itself vibrated as if Earth were holding its breath. Spider-Man clung to the side of a skyscraper near Times Square, watching in disbelief as the sky turned red. His mask lenses widened. "Okay," he muttered to himself, "those are definitely not shooting stars." Alarms blared across the city. Crowds screamed below, scattering like ants. The ships descended in formation, hovering with terrifying grace. Then, beams of alien light stabbed downward, carving craters into the streets. From within the glow stepped the invaders, tall, regal, and terrifying. The queens had arrived. The queens unveiled. The first to emerge was Zyra, Queen of Blades. Her armor shimmered with jagged silver shards that floated around her like an orbit of knives. Every step she took echoed like steel grinding on steel. Beside her descended Vela, Queen of Minds, her gaze glowing white, tendrils of psychic energy flowing from her temples. Mortals froze in her presence, their thoughts bending as easily as leaves in the wind. Then came Orithis, Queen of Beasts, towering and feral. Her body rippled with spines, and from behind her poured alien monstrosities on 4, 6, and 8 legs. They snarled, snapping their jaws as if tasting Earth's air for the first time. Last, cloaked in living darkness, was Lunara, Queen of Shadows. She drifted above the ground, her form half solid, half nightmare. The light bent away from her, and even the neon glow of Times Square dimmed in her wake. Spider-Man swallowed hard. 4 alien queens with their own personal monster zoo. Yeah, this is way above my pay grade. But he didn't hesitate. Civilians were still trapped in the streets below. Swinging into action, he began webbing debris away from panicked crowds, pulling a child out of the path of a collapsing billboard just as Orithis' beasts roared into the open. The first clash. Zyra raised her hands, and her blades whirled into a storm that cut through cars and concrete. Vela whispered, her voice echoing in a dozen languages inside people's skulls. "Bow to your queens, bow, or be unmade." Several terrified civilians dropped to their knees, their eyes glazed. Spider-Man leapt down, shooting webs across their ears like makeshift soundproof shields. "Sorry, lady, but this crowd isn't really into the whole alien hypnotist vibe." Vela's gaze snapped to him, her voice curling like smoke. "You will kneel first, Spider." Before she could strike, the sky cracked again. A thunderous boom shook the city as a bolt of lightning split the clouds, crashing into the street between Spider-Man and the queens. From the blaze of fire and smoke strode Thor, god of thunder, his hammer Mjolnir crackling with fury. "For pretenders dare crown themselves upon Midgard?" His voice boomed across the ruins. Not while Thor yet draws breath. He swung Mjolnir, unleashing a shockwave that hurled Orithis' beasts aside like ragdolls. Spider-Man flipped beside him, panting. "Oh, thank God. I was about to run out of quips." Thor smirked. "Then save them, mortal. You will need them before this night ends." The monsters roar. The ground rumbled. A saw line burst, and the pavement cracked wide open. From the fissure rose a beast the size of a building, summoned by Orithis' guttural snarl. Its eyes burned violet, its jaws filled with rotating bone-like teeth. Thor prepared his hammer, but before he could strike, the beast was slammed aside by a green fist larger than a car. Hulk. The monster rolled into a half-collapsed subway station, roaring in pain. Hulk pounded his chest, eyes blazing. "Hulk smash monster queen." Spider-Man tilted his head. "Okay, I didn't even text him. Does Hulk just sense when alien Kiju show up?" Thor grinned. "Aye. He hears the call of battle. Queen's intent." The 4 alien rulers stood tall, unshaken by the sudden arrival of Earth's mightiest. Zyra's blades hissed in the air. Vela's voice slithered into their minds. Orithis' beasts regrouped, claws scraping asphalt. Lunara's shadows thickened, swallowing half the block in choking darkness. Lunara finally spoke, her tone like the rustle of dead leaves. "This world is rich. its people fierce, its skies worthy of conquest. Let Earth's champions come. They will be broken, and their bones will pave our throne. Thor raised his hammer, lightning arcing. Hulk cracked his knuckles. Spider-Man tightened his webs. The three heroes, so different, stood shoulder to shoulder for the first time that night. Okay, Spider-Man muttered, flexing his hands, no pressure, but it looks like we've got to save the entire planet from an all-girls galactic death squad. Thor smirked. Then let us give them a battle to remember. Hulk roared so loud the windows shattered. And with that, the queens surged forward. The first clash of gods, monsters, and men thundered across New York. And the war for Earth had begun. Clash of Titans. The night sky above New York was no longer a canvas of stars. It was a battlefield of fire, shadow, and steel. Thor stood at the center of Times Square, Mjolnir humming with crackling electricity. To his left, Hulk snarled like a caged storm, his massive fists digging into the asphalt as if he were anchoring the city itself. Spider-Man crouched above them on a shattered billboard frame, eyes darting from one alien queen to the next. The air vibrated with tension. The first blow was inevitable. The storm of blades. Zyra raised her arms. The living metal orbiting her body whirled into a cyclone of blades, each one glinting with alien fire. With a flick of her wrist, the storm lashed out, carving through the street in 100 razor arcs. Thor swung Mjolnir and unleashed a wall of lightning, splitting blade after blade in midair. The storm's glow clashed with his lightning, sparks cascading like fireworks over the ruined city. You call yourselves queens? Thor roared. You wield steel, yet I am son of Odin. He launched himself forward, hammer colliding with Zyra's blade armor in a thunderous shockwave. The ground buckled, windows shattered, and the storm of blades scattered, only to reassemble again at her command. Zyra smirked. Son of Odin, she said coldly, your lightning will adorn my throne. The war of minds. Above the chaos, Spider-Man's head snapped sideways. His vision blurred. Voices slithered into his skull. Vela. Her glowing eyes pierced him, and suddenly, the world shifted. He wasn't in New York anymore. He was dangling over a void, skyscrapers inverted, webs snapping under phantom winds. His mask peeled back, his loved ones Aunt May, MJ, Gwen stood on fragile glass beneath him, screaming as cracks spread under their feet. Let them fall, Vela's voice whispered inside him. Your strength will never be enough. Surrender your will, and I will save them. Spider-Man staggered, clutching his head, fighting invisible chains. But his heart pounded. He forced his shaking hands to shoot webs not at the illusion, but at the very air. The tactile anchor of webbing pulled him back. You think you can scare me with guilt trips, he spat, panting. Lady, guilt is basically my middle name. Vela's smile faltered as Spider-Man leapt, launching a web straight into her face. She screeched as her concentration broke, the illusions collapsing back into the real world. Spider-Man swung back into the fray. Newsflash, Psychic Queen, my head's already a mess. Good luck sorting through that. Monsters and rage. Meanwhile, Auradis unleashed her army. Dozens of alien beasts thundered across Broadway, their armored hides shimmering with bioluminescent fire. They trampled taxis, smashed buses aside, and lunged for the heroes. Hulk roared and met them head-on. The first beast, a hulking six-legged predator, lunged with fangs the size of swords. Hulk caught its jaws mid-bite, muscles bulging, and tore its head in half with a spray of alien ichor. Another beast pounced onto his back, claws raking, but Hulk spun and smashed it into a crumbling building. Puny monsters, he bellowed, ripping a streetlight from the ground and swinging it like a bat, sending 3 more creatures flying. Auradis laughed, her spines flaring. Strong, yes. But even you will break beneath the endless pack. Hulk charged straight at her, fists glowing with raw fury. Their collision sent shockwaves through the street, her claws locking with his fists in a primal struggle of brute force. The city in shadows. But the true danger loomed silently. Lunara. While the others battled openly, she drifted above the chaos, her cloak of shadows spreading like a living fog. Neon lights flickered and died. Street lamps dimmed. Within the dark, Screams echoed as civilians vanished into nothingness. Spider-Man landed on a rooftop, spotting her form barely outlined against the moon. His stomach clenched. She's not fighting us, she's swallowing the city. He shot a web line and swung up toward her, but the shadows thickened, snagging his web mid-flight. Black tendrils whipped him backward, slamming him into a brick wall. Thor broke free from Zyra's blades just long enough to hurl Mjolnir skyward. Lightning carved through Lunara's veil, exposing her silhouette. But her laughter was like knives. Light dies. Shadow remains. Her darkness surged outward again, blotting out half of Manhattan in an instant. A moment of unity. The queens regrouped briefly, circling their foes like predators. Zyra's blades floated around her in a deadly halo. Vela's psychic energy pulsed as she sharpened her focus. Orithis' beasts regrouped, snarling in the shadows. Lunara's darkness spread like a tide, eating the skyline. Spider-Man swung down beside Thor and Hulk, panting, ribs aching. "Okay," he said, "I've fought alien symbiotes, killer robots, and a guy with a fishbowl for a head, but this is officially nightmare fuel." Thor gripped his hammer tighter. They fight not as invaders, but as conquerors." Hulk growled, fists clenched, still dripping alien ichor. Hulk smash all queens. For a heartbeat, the three stood shoulder to shoulder. Alone, they had nearly been broken. Together, they still had a chance. Spider-Man's voice hardened behind the mask. "Then we hit them together. No splitting off, no solo hero stuff. Team up, or we don't make it to sunrise." Thor met his gaze. Agreed. Hulk slammed his fists together, the sound like a war drum. Above them, the queens hissed in unison. Then perished together. The battle renewed. And so the war erupted again. Thor hurled Mjolnir, lightning scattering Zyra's blades like sparks from an anvil. Hulk roared, grappling Orithis through collapsing buildings. Spider-Man webbed civilians out of Lunara's shadows while dodging Vela's psychic blasts, his agility the thread that kept him alive. The city burned. The heroes bled. The queens pressed their advantage with alien precision. But amid the chaos, something had shifted. The three defenders of Earth had found rhythm in their chaos: Thor's might, Hulk's rage, Spider-Man's speed blending into something stronger than the queens expected. And as the night raged on, the first seeds of victory, or sacrifice, were sown. The last stand of Earth. The city burned. Smoke and fire turned Manhattan's skyline into a jagged battlefield. Shadows stretched unnaturally, skyscrapers bent under alien forces, and the cries of civilians echoed across streets littered with steel and rubble. Above it all, the four alien queens floated like executioners ready to deliver Earth's death sentence. Spider-Man, blooded and breathing hard, perched on the cracked remains of a traffic light. His mask was torn at the side, revealing part of his jaw, but his eyes, behind those white lenses, burned with determination. On the ground below, Hulk slammed his fists together, every muscle pulsing with fury. Thor, battered but unbowed, lifted Mjolnir, lightning crawling across his armor. They were exhausted, outnumbered, and outmatched. And yet, they stood. The queens ascend. Lunara rose higher, her shadow cloak swallowing entire blocks. "This world is ripe for eternal night," she hissed, her voice echoing from every direction. "Its champions kneel, or they break." Vela spread her psychic aura, enslaving more civilians who staggered like puppets, their eyes glowing white. "See how your people already belong to me." Zyra spun her storm of blades, every shard humming like a swarm of angry wasps. "Your blood will stain my throne." And Orithis roared, summoning the largest of her beasts yet, a leviathan-like monster with jaws wide enough to crush a tower. "Earth will be my hunting ground." The four queens circled, their powers weaving together in terrifying harmony. The hero's plan. Spider-Man swung down between Thor and Hulk. "Okay, so I've been running the math," he said breathlessly. "We're outgunned, outnumbered, and probably out of our minds, but if we don't fight smarter, Earth is toast." Thor frowned. "You speak of strategy?" Spider-Man nodded. "Exactly. Thor, you're our artillery. Keep Zyra and her blade storm busy. Hulk, yeah, big guy, you're our tank. You smash Aura this and keep her pets off the board. I'll handle Vela. If I can shut down her psychic control, we've got a shot at breaking their formation. Hulk grunted. Hulk smash monsters. Hulk smash Queen. Perfect, Spider-Man said. Oh, and if either of you die, I'm telling the Avengers it was your idea. Thor chuckled despite the chaos. You truly are the strangest of Midgard's warriors. Thanks, Spidey replied. I try. Clash of Queens and Champions. Thor launched first, leaping into the air with a roar. Mjolnir crashed against Zyra's storm of blades, sparks and lightning exploding like a miniature sun above the city. The god of thunder and the queen of blades locked in a deadly dance of steel and storm, their blows shaking the sky itself. On the ground, Hulk charged Orithis' Leviathan. The beast lunged, jaws snapping, but Hulk caught it with both hands, muscles straining. With a furious roar, he suplexed the creature into a collapsed building, dust billowing like a volcanic eruption. Orithis screeched, her spines flaring as she summoned more beasts, but Hulk was already tearing through them, each smash echoing like war drums. Meanwhile, Spider-Man swung toward Vela. Her psychic blasts rippled through the air, twisting the city into illusions again. Streets bent sideways, and buildings warped like melting wax. You cannot resist forever, Vela whispered into his mind. Your doubts, your guilt, they are mine. Peter's body buckled, knees almost giving in. He saw visions of everyone he had ever failed: Uncle Ben, Gwen, even Tony Stark. Their voices screamed in his head. But then he remembered something stronger. MJ's smile. Aunt May's courage. The laughter of people he'd saved. The stubborn hope of New York. No, he growled, forcing himself upright. You're not taking my city. You're not taking my people. He fired a web straight across Vela's eyes, blinding her glow, and then flipped forward, delivering a double kick to her chest that sent her crashing into a billboard. For the first time, her psychic hold shattered. Civilians collapsed, free again. The turning tide. Lunara, furious, unleashed her shadows in a tidal wave, swallowing the heroes in black fog. Spider-Man struggled to see. Thor's lightning flickered, barely pushing back the tide. Hulk staggered as tendrils of darkness wrapped around his legs. It seemed hopeless until Spider-Man shouted over the chaos. Thor, light her up. Hulk, make me a clear shot. Hulk roared, slamming the ground so hard the shadows rippled and thinned. Thor hurled Mjolnir skyward, summoning a storm that split the heavens. Lightning poured down, tearing holes through Lunara's veil, revealing her pale, furious form at the center. Spider-Man launched himself on the lightning's glow, webs latching onto Lunara's cloak. With all his strength, he yanked her out of the sky and slammed her into the asphalt. The three heroes converged, Thor's hammer smashing, Hulk's fist pounding, Spider-Man's webs binding. Lunara shrieked, her form unraveling into mist. The Queen's defeat. With Lunara banished, the balance tipped. Thor delivered one final hammer blow, shattering Zyra's blade storm in a storm of sparks. The Queen stumbled back, her armor cracking, before vanishing into light. Hulk crushed Orithis' Leviathan beneath his fists, then hurled the Queen herself into her own collapsing portal. Her roar faded into silence. Spider-Man tangled Vela in layer upon layer of webbing, short-circuiting her psychic pulses. With a final surge of effort, he hurled her into the shadows of her departing warship. The sky above New York cleared. The ships, their queens defeated, began to retreat, vanishing into the void. Dawn of victory. The city was broken but alive. Fires burned, sirens wailed, but the people cheered as the Queen's shadows lifted. Spider-Man collapsed onto the hood of a crushed taxi, pulling off his torn mask, chest heaving. Thor landed beside him, resting Mjolnir against the pavement, his armor scorched. Hulk simply stood, chest heaving, before letting out a satisfied grunt. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Then Spider-Man chuckled weakly. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I could really use a slice of New York pizza right about now. Thor let out a booming laugh. A feast, yes. This realm's warriors deserve no less. Hulk smirked. Hulk want tacos. Spider-Man groaned. Figures. The three of them, so different, yet united, stood beneath the rising sun. The queens of the fallen sky had been defeated, and Earth was safe, at least for now. Because when the stars next darkened, Earth's champions would be ready.